All right, Jimmy Walker, you know him as JJ on the CBS television series Good Times. After the show's run ended, Jimmy stayed in the limelight with countless appearances on all the late night shows, The Tonight Show, Late Night with David Letterman, and on and on. He's guest starred on lots of shows. He is also a New York Times best-selling author. He has 2 Grammy-nominated comedy albums, and he currently has a stand-up special with Michael Winslow called We're Still Here. Michael Winslow is the guy who makes all those funny sounds. It's really amazing, actually. And this is out today. We're Still Here with Jimmy Walker and Michael Winslow is out today on Amazon, Comcast, DirecTV, iTunes, and more. Here is Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Let's start by talking about your new special. You got a new special coming on. What with Michael Winslow, isn't it? The sound guy.
Michael Winslow from Police Academy, who the man of 1,000 voices, noises, whatever you want to call it. 1,000 sounds. That's his moniker.
And so now streaming services have given like this whole new life to stand up. Are you seeing stuff that you like, stuff that you don't like?
Well, there's comedy's changed, of course, in the last 50 years a lot. And, there's a lot of good people. I'm not one of these guys who says, oh, everybody stinks and it was better in our day. I think, the main difference, there's a couple of differences, even though there's a lot of good people out there. Language is a big situation now that we didn't have when I started. I think the fact that the country is divided, that makes comedy divided, and comedy is probably the leader of that. We have Mel Brooks always said, funny is funny. Well, funny isn't funny anymore because there's different kind of comedy. We have gay comedy, Hispanic comedy, lesbian comedy, Eskimo comedy. There's comedy for everybody in niches. When I started, if you saw Flip Wilson, I saw Flip Wilson. If I saw Alan King, you saw Alan King. Now there's comics that are just for one particular segment of the public. As you can see on late night, there's no positive Trump comedy out here. So that is only for the anti-Trumpites, I guess. And that's the way comedy is going. So comedy is part of our great American divide right now.
Wow, that's really interesting. Now, I know that you are much more conservative than most of the people in Hollywood. Is your act conservative as well?
I think my act, hopefully, is funny. That's the key to it all. We try to be as funny as we can be, and that's the deal. I'm not sure, even though there's a lot of talent, a lot of good comedy, a lot of good funny people out here now, I'm not sure that that's the point anymore, is to be funny. I think the point is to make points about whatever your view may be, whether it's about women, whether it's about politics, whatever it may be about. So that's the point, I think, that I can gather that a lot of people are doing.
Yeah, no, it seems that way to me too. I mean, I think it is remarkable how quickly. I mean, it's remarkable to me that you can't watch late night comedy if you're a Trump supporter. You can't watch late night comedy without being insulted. There's not one show that won't insult you. That's kind of wild.
I think that's the way they're going with that. It's the anti-Trump thing. This is the strongest anti thing I've seen since the Vietnam War.
Yeah, me too.
There's not a positive word to be said, no matter what the facts are, one way or the other. I mean, whether you're a Trump person or not, he's done some good stuff. He's done some bad stuff. But if you listen to late night, you would think that the guy is just destroying everything. And the civility in the country is minute. I mean, the fact that Sarah Huckabee Sanders can't go to a restaurant with her family, and the fact that somebody like a Maxine Waters goes, you should attack these people at every turn in the corner. I've never seen the uncivil behavior like we have it now.
Yeah. Now you made your bones in the 70s really with Good Times, a Norman Lear show about a black family. How do you feel the representation of blacks on screen has changed over that time when you look at, say, situation comedy?
Well, I think that we were the first and last poor black family. I want to put that poor black family that was on TV. People complain in terms of in their black community so much that you will never, ever, ever, never, ever see a poor black family on television again. And most shows, again, through comedy, will be pointed one way or the other. Like the name of our show was Good Times, which is fun. And now the biggest minority show is Blackish, which is aimed basically at a certain crowd. And I think we had universal situations. I think their thing is, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm happy that Anthony Anderson and all those guys are working. We want people to work and make a living, and that's really important. But I don't think we're at the point now that we are even aimed at trying to be all inclusive. Like if you watch BET, I did a show called Hollywood Squares in the old days. Now BET is doing hip hop squares. So I think that we've gotten to the point now that whatever your group is, it's pointed toward that group, and it continue. You would imagine, as much as I travel and with cable and everything, that the country would be very united because everybody would see, you can see all sides of the whole deal. It's not that way. I think since I've been traveling since 70, the country is more divided, more racially divided, more economically divided, more democratically and Republican divided. And I think that's what's happening. So I think, in my humble opinion, and very humble it is, that we're coming to a very bad point in this country, and there is literally no way to stop it. People say, well, what's the answer? I don't think there's an answer. I think we're going down a really severe rabbit hole, and I think that the anarchy on both sides, it's not just on one side, it's on the liberal and the conservative side. The anarchy in relationships in this country is severe, and we could be coming to the end, kind of a Sodom and Gomorrah situation.
Wow, that's a pretty scary thought. I mean, I work out, and I've worked in Hollywood as a screenwriter, and because I'm a conservative, I know a lot of the conservative people out here, and conservative black people who work in Hollywood have told me stories of their mistreatment when their political opinions become known. That are horrific. I mean, they're mistreatment by white people for coming out as conservative. Have you experienced that?
I don't know. People tell me that, and I go, gee, I never really even thought about it like that. But it could be possible. I never really even thought about it until some friends of mine brought it up. You look at people like Larry Elder, and he is, I guess, among the point people of it, and he takes a bad hit. All those other guys, the Shelby Steels, all those other people like that. I mean, I guess they take hits. And then you look at Charles Payne, who's on Fox, and the other guy from the Wall Street Journal,
Jason Riley.
They've claimed, Jason Riley. They claim they've taken hits. Sometimes I may be in the glaucoma mood and not really see it, but maybe it is happening.
Yeah. I just want to go back for a second. I was curious when you said there's no more poor black families on TV. Why do you think that is? I mean, it seems to me there are fewer poor white families too.
That comes through the protest. The black people protested it; they didn't want to see it, so therefore they took it off. And after our show was on, there wasn't a black family until the Cosby Show, and Cosby wanted it to be about the honeymooners, bus driver, and the networks have taken so much heat that they said no, we can't do it. Just too bad.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
That was good. Well, I'll tell you a quick story, and it's a very interesting story. When we were on, people protested and complained so much that we finally got off, whatever. But they didn't do another black show because they were very nervous about it. So therefore, when Cosby got on with the honeymooners, they said, no, we can't do that. Now, Cosby was on, and Fox was just starting at that time. Chris Albrecht and those guys. Chris Albrecht and those guys said, boy, this Cosby Show is so saccharine, so sweet. Can we do a counterpiece to the show? So one of the writers who's on our show, Michael Moy, who I can give you, you don't even want to go through his story because he's fabulous. Great writer. But anyway, he had a deal with Fox. So he said, can you write a counterpiece to the Cosby Show? So he did. And they loved it. They said, it's fantastic, but we can't do it because black people would go insane. So we can't do it. So the next regime came in. As you know, every 2 or 3 years there's a new regime. They read it because it was in their files, and they were paying Michael to work at Fox Television, Entertainment Branch. They read it, and they loved it. They said, boy, we just can't do it. It's too much. The third regime came in and goes, man, this is the best thing we ever saw. Fantastic. He said, well, we can't do it. The black people will complain. Somebody said, well, let's do it as white people. It's a great idea. They did it. Married with children.
You're kidding me. That's an amazing story. I mean, I wish I could be shocked, but I'm not because it's Hollywood. But like that is an amazing, amazing story. You know, it's funny. Recently, this film Black Panther came out and it was a big success. And everybody was reacting as if no one had ever seen anything like this before. And it seemed to me, you know, I used to go to the Wesley Snipes Blade trilogy, and it seems to me...
The Blade trilogy goes back to Shaft, it goes back to all of that. Same thing.
And it seems like we didn't even, you know, back then it seems like we didn't even notice it. You know, it's just Wesley Snipes. He was an action star. And now everything is so branded according to its race that it almost seems like we've taken a step backwards. Is that just me?
Yeah, well, you look at the shows, Black Panther, Blackish. They have another one out now. The Black Panther movie. It's just gone berserk. It's gone berserk. And I just think, like I said, the races are so divided. Everybody's like, you'll never see basically a black bad guy. You know, you got Denzel Washington with his thing, but he's technically not a bad guy in his thing. The way it is now is every black person has to be a good person. And we all know there's a lot of good black people. There's no doubt about that. But there's some bad black people too. And you can play gangsters and do that. That's the difference now that you were talking about the blaxploitation movies against the Black Panther movie. The blaxploitation movies had bad black people in it. And it gave people roles. They did things. Look at any Clint Eastwood film or whatever. You always see crazy black people. I mean, to show you how things have changed, if you watch the first Dirty Harry movie, and which most people did who are of our bracket, age, whatever, there's a line in there that you could never, ever do now. That was one of the highlights of the movie. And that's when he has the shootout when he's coming out of the hot dog stand. And he starts shooting people and he wounds one guy. And that's when he does his gun line about this is a .357 Magnum, the biggest thing. So the guy puts down his gun, and as Dirty Harry's walk away, the guy says, I got to know. And if you did that line nowadays, there would be such an uproar. I got to know.
Yeah.
Never, ever could you do that line now. Ever.
Wow. Yeah. Now, you know, I watch some of the stuff going on. Like, I know my agent gets calls for writers of a specific race because the idea is you can't write out of your race. And I know, for instance, when Will Smith didn't get nominated for Concussion and his wife made a fuss about it, suddenly there was all this talk about the Oscars being too white, which actually statistically wasn't true.
Let me tell you something, my friend. Every year from now on to the end of our existence, you will see black people nominated.
Right.
That will never, ever happen. I don't care what it is. They will get nominated for, if it's Urkel, he'll get nominated because they don't want to hear it. So they will always be black people nominated for something, so you'll never see that again. So that was a slip up on their part, and they don't want to hear it. But
doesn't that devalue the award? I mean, doesn't that mean...
They won't allow that to happen.
Yeah.
They'll keep saying how great it is.
Yeah.
And if you're a black woman disabled, look out. You're the winner.
It's nuts. Well, I'm really looking forward to your special. Where can people see it?
They can see it on Direct TV. They can see it on Comcast TV. They can see it on Amazon TV. It is on all streaming devices. You can pick it up. It's called We're Still Here, which is based on age also, because Michael and I are a little older. So we had a very difficult time, 20 years to be exact, to get our special. And we're here.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Jimmy Walker, thanks very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, my friend.
That's an incredible story, that one about Married with Children. I mean, that's just, and it's kind of classic. It's classic of how this stuff works, that once you start thinking in terms of race, it's always the minority who gets screwed in the end. It always comes back, because why not? If that's what you're thinking about, the only way to lift up minorities is to remove race from the equation.